ESPN America, your home for the NFL.
Baba O'Reilly. Oh, yeah, bring on the rock and roll for Super Bowl 44. Who is not ready for this game? South Beach, they're starting to stir. I know the Saints fans might have been out a little late, but some Saints fans are here. The Colt fans are here. Football fans are here. Helmets on the beach. Let's make it 4 hours to get you set for Super Bowl 44 Special Edition of Sunday NFL Countdown.
Every ring has a story carved in gold, adorned in gems. 43 histories of kings and the crowns they've worn upon their hands. It's a story written in shorthand, Lombardi's will, Namath's guarantee, and Miami's perfection.
I got that 72 perfect season ring, and I wear it with a great deal of pride.
It's a story of dynasties throughout the decades. Steel curtains.
Was another circus pitch.
Golden Gate greatness.
Touchdown to John Taylor.
Lone Star triplets.
Grabbing that moment and say, yes, you're not going to take this away from me.
And team first superstars.
Good! It's good! It's good!
It's a story of moments. Returns.
Desmond Howard has just gone 99 yards for a touchdown.
Redemption.
To surprise the world and finally get that monkey off our back was something that I'll never forget.
And refusal.
He came up 1 yard short.
Who will claim the moment?
A brilliant throw by Breeze. Touchdown, Reggie Wayne.
Who will fulfill the grand plan?
The Colts are AFC champions. The Saints are on their way to the Super Bowl.
Who will take history into his hand and shape it into a ring? For every ring has its own story. How will it be written today?
Our thanks to our friend Andy Garcia for getting us ready for kicking off Super Bowl 44 here at South Beach, Miami. The 10th time the Super Bowl has been played in Miami. They know how to host a party, and they have certainly seen their share of some great games dating back to Namath and the Steelers against the Cowboys back in the old Orange Bowl 5 times. We've had 5 in this stadium now, but 2 are in Joe Robbie Stadium. 1 was in Pro Player Stadium. 1 is in Dolphin Stadium. And now tonight, Sun Life Stadium. The name has been changed to protect the innocent, but our names, we're innocent. We don't change them at all. I'm Chris Berman. Welcome to Super Bowl 44 Countdown. Chris Carter is with us. And Chris, your day is coming. Your day is coming.
Yes.
He's a Hall of Fame player.
Yes.
Your day is coming. Your day, you waited for this moment. You're good enough to get it, but only these guys to your left and right played in this game before. And Coach Ditka, you understand what this is, the Super Bowl, because as a Dallas Cowboy player, Mike Ditka, you know him as a Bear and maybe an Eagle, but Coach played in Super Bowl 5 and then won, caught a touchdown in Super Bowl 6 when the Cowboys won. And we do remember this team that you coached from Super Bowl 20. Keyshawn Johnson, Super Bowl 37. The Bucs, very saint-like. The Bucs are in the Super Bowl, and the Bucs, key part of a team that ended all of the jokes. Tom Jackson. And the Denver Broncos made it for the first time, and despite about 8 million turnovers, that Orange Crush kept the Broncos in the game before losing to the Cowboys in Super Bowl 12. And Tom was in Super Bowl 21 and unfortunately got hurt in it, and consoled John Owen, said you'll have better days, and you know what? You were right. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to the Super Bowl.
Happy Super Bowl.
Happy Super Bowl, guys.
Absolutely.
What's this morning like? You know better than the rest of us, Coach.
Well, yeah, I was in it 3 times. The first time, I have to be honest, I was so nervous. I won't say scared. I was nervous because you don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to hurt your football team. Second time, supremely confident. We had a great game plan going in, and when I was a coach, gang, I was completely confident because we had a better team at that time. That's all there was to it, and they were not going to be denied.
For me, I was not nervous. I was nervous in the beginning, but then I got scared as I got ready to get to the stadium.
Yeah.
And I said I did not want to be that guy, whatever it is. I don't want to be the guy that cost us that football game, but I tried to do as much as I could just to kind of get all the system, Tommy.
I just wish that everybody could be this excited as these two teams are to do what they're going to do this evening. And I know that I left on the first bus 4 hours ahead of time so I could get to the stadium and do the first normal thing that I had done all week, see my jersey up and get ready to play.
One thing people need to realize, too, is one thing you guys have realized. The only thing in my career that I wasn't able to do was play in this game. And what you need to realize as a fan, how special it is. And when these guys go onto the football field, they will play with an energy. They will play like this is the last football game because they know the significance of being a Super Bowl champion.
Well, we got a few other guys with us today that understand the importance of this day, and that would be number 8. Orangutan, gorilla, monkey, they all came off the back of Steve Young in Super Bowl 29, who, of course, was with the Niners when they won earlier, but had one of the great games of all time, 6 TD passes against the Chargers right here in this stadium. Teddy Bruschi played in 5, 3 of them in this decade. The great linebacker of the Patriots won with New England. That's right, 3 rings for Teddy, 36, 38, and 39. That's right, 1, 2, 3. And the Baltimore Ravens, Trent Dilfer, led them 9 years ago with the defense and that key long pass in all those playoff games, including the Super Bowl. And so we say hello to these gentlemen who proudly wear the rings. And Steve, happy Super Bowl morning. I think I have a feeling. What were you like that morning with everything on your shoulders, Steve?
Oh, Boomer. You close your eyes. I've been in Miami 15 years ago. I can be right there waking up in the morning and my longtime roommate, Brent Jones, and turning to him and saying, you know what? One way or another, my life is going to be extremely different at the end of this day because my situation was very different. 49ers had already won 4 Super Bowls with Joe Montana. I had to win. It wasn't like, oh, I hope to win, or let's go out and play really well, let's give it a good shot. I had to win. And so with that on my back, I woke up that morning realizing one way or another it was going to be dramatically different at the end of the day. Now, Peyton Manning is different. He can incrementally now go to his great legacy and join those other great quarterbacks with multiple Super Bowls. The Aikmans, the Bradshaws, the Montanas. That's a really elite company that he's looking forward to getting into this morning.
Yeah, and my morning was all about control. I wanted to be in total control. I woke up, took a big self-inventory. I knew I had the game plan mastery aside. I want to make sure I was in control of my emotions and everything about my mental state. So I walked a little slower, Teddy. I talked a little slower. I chewed my food a little slower. I want to make sure I didn't let the emotion get the best of me in this game.
And I was supremely fortunate to play in 5 of these, and the emotions for me changed from the first one to the 5th. In the first one, I had incredible difficulty controlling all of the emotions that I was feeling Super Bowl morning. But as you get to your 2nd and all the way to your 5th, it's really a relief that the game is finally here. You've dealt with all the distractions, you've put in your preparation, and finally it's come to the point where you get to do what you've been doing since you were a little kid, and that's play football.
Yeah, and since I was a little kid, I had one singular dream, and that was to celebrate a Super Bowl championship with my teammates in the locker room afterwards. And unfortunately, I got shuttled around to do so many different interviews, guys. By the time I got back to the locker room, it was completely emptied. The floor had been vacuumed. There was one locker full of stuff, and it was mine. And I remember sitting at my locker, burying my head in my hands, and just started crying, saying the one thing I looked forward to my whole football career had been robbed from me. So there's going to be great moments, but there's also tragic moments at the end of this game as well, Bo.
Well, very interesting. You guys certainly have walked the walk and have done it. And, well, these teams, Colts and Saints fans, they're hoping to walk the walk, at least for their team. Far away and far done with our Super Bowl savvy. We go out to the stadium a little north of here, and our Monday Night Football crew, which would be Mike Tirico, Ron Jaworski, Super Bowl veteran, and, of course, John Gruden, who coached those Bucs to the championship. Welcome to the studio, boys and Jaws, as I told you the other night, as Johnny Rivers sang it, welcome back to the poor side of town. You're in the studio now. Thanks for helping us this morning.
It is great to be back with you guys on Super Bowl Sunday, as we have been the last few years. And you just mentioned it, Boomer, the Super Bowl exploits of these guys here. Jaws quarterbacking the Philadelphia Eagles. Hard to believe it's been 30 years, Jaws. We're getting there now, huh?
Wow, that's scary. My hair was a different color then.
And John Gruden, of course, became the youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won Super Bowl 37. He was 39. first bit of very significant news here, and I know we're way away from the game. I don't want to overhype things, but you've heard everybody say no rain, it's going to be a great day. If the wind stays where it is now, it's going to be a big factor. As you watch the game, the wind is going to blow from the upper left corner of your screen on down, meaning from that side of the stadium all the way across the field. And it's a pretty strong breeze right now, as you can tell. Well, not from my hair, but for you guys. And Jaws, if you're a quarterback and waking up, and if Peyton or Drew are watching this, it's kind of in your mind, isn't it?
Oh, no question about it. The one thing that affects quarterback psyche are the elements. And I remember a conversation with Peyton Manning after they won the Super Bowl, and he talked about how excited he was. His first Super Bowl down here in South Florida. He slept like a baby. He woke up at 11 o'clock. He had the curtains drawn tight so it was dark in the room. He expected to open the curtains and see a beautiful, bright, sunny day. Well, it was pouring rain. It rained throughout the afternoon, it rained throughout the game, but he found a way to win. So the elements of rain will not be a factor in this game, but as Mike just said a moment ago, the wind here will be a factor. I look at the flags, they're going right to left. I look at John's hair, it's going left to right. It's going to be swirling. Yeah.
That's very funny, Ron. But remember, these two teams come from dome stadiums. So not only the quarterbacks, but the receivers, the kickers, the holders, everybody has to understand wind is a factor. So get out here early, see where the sun is, see where the wind is, get used to it, because Super Bowl 44 is about to be kicked off. But I think most importantly, these players have to understand their pregame rituals are going to be different. Right. Pregame warm-up takes forever. Halftime is longer, but it's very important that you set the tone in Super Bowl 44. The first 5 minutes of this game are critical.
And again, not to be guilty of creating a panic of any sort. Wind in South Florida sometimes can die down as the day goes on. Certainly golfers know around sunset, wind can die down. But if you're hearing it's a perfect day, it is in terms of the precipitation, but the wind could play a factor. It's our pleasure to be with the guys. All of us are with you for 4 hours. The tour, 8 hours getting ready toward kickoff of Super Bowl 44 here from South Florida. The atmosphere not just here yet, but certainly for those who have stumbled in and have turned around quickly, ready for the enjoyment on South Beach. They'll be watching the show down there as we roll on Super Bowl Sunday, on Sunday NFL Countdown.
They're the first family of football in the Crescent City.
When you talk about New Orleans, you're talking about the Manning family. They never forget where they came from or where they're going.
But when his son faces his former team, find out where Archie Manning's loyalties lie, and a bond between a young boy and his favorite QB.
You know, there's a kid that's fighting the fight that he's fighting each and every day. I mean, it inspires you.
The special friend that's on Drew Brees' mind this Super Sunday. And it's the most famous ankle in Super Bowl history.
My ankle's definitely moving in the right direction.
The latest on Indy's injured pass rusher. Dwight Freeney News is next.
Super Bowl Sunday, a day when dreams are realized and heroes are made. The New Orleans Saints have been on a collision course with the title game all season. Can Drew Brees finally take them to the promised land? Or will four-time MVP Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts claim yet another Super Bowl championship? It's the greatest spectacle in American sport. Super Bowl 44, live from Sun Life Stadium in Miami, Florida. Tonight at midnight, CET, live on ESPN America.
For the widest choice of official North American sports merchandise, for the perfect gift to collect or just to look good and support your team, visit espnamerica.com.
Wednesday Night Hoops on ESPN America. It's a conference doubleheader as Big East rivals square off. First, we're with the Connecticut Huskies as they roll into Syracuse to face the Orange Men. Then another chapter from one of sports' greatest rivalries is about to be written. North Carolina versus Duke. It all starts Wednesday at midnight. Wednesday Night Hoops, live on ESPN America.
There is a great hall somewhere, adorned by curtains, silver and black excellence, and gold charms. It's decorated with pictures of patriots, pioneers, and Lone Star legends. After 19 earned the first and 18 delivered the second, the Colts can enter this great hall with one more ring at the door.
Gets you ready, doesn't it? Super Bowl 44. Rarely do we see the teams that played the best in the regular season meeting in the Super Bowl. But here they are. The once 14-0 Indianapolis Colts and the once 13-0 New Orleans Saints. The first time top seeds have faced off against each other since 1993. Dallas and Buffalo. Boom. Indy set a new regular season consecutive win streak in the process, 23 straight. Peyton Manning won his 4th MVP. Jim Caldwell becomes only the 5th rookie head coach to make the Super Bowl, but the Colts decided that a dance with Super Bowl destiny was better than a possible undefeated destiny. So here they are, 16-2. The New Orleans Saints are one of the best first-time Super Bowl stories that we have ever covered, from Hurricane Katrina and the bags on the heads. Here they are at 15-3, having scored 510 regular season points, 9th best in NFL history, not to mention 76 more in the postseason. In short, the Saints are fun, and Who Dat Nation is here to see that. But can they beat the Colts, who won Super Bowl 44 over the Bears on this very field just 3 years ago? We say good morning to Susie Colbert. Happy Super Bowl, Suze.
Good morning, Chris. We have to be very quiet because it's all quiet here at the Colts Hideaway Hotel, about 13 miles from the stadium. They made the move here at 7 p.m. last night, and then when they all got together, that's when, as predicted, Coach Caldwell delivered his defining speech. And as Reggie Wayne texted me, it's not a speech without the 3 key words that the players carry into the game. And then Caldwell likes it short and sweet, always ends his speeches with, above all else, win. Now, Reggie also said, I am ready to play, can't wait. Now, that's good news because during the week, he had a bit of a sore knee. Now, as for defensive end Dwight Freeney, the word is that as he continues to progress, he will give the injured ankle a try in pregame warm-ups, and if there are no further setbacks, he is likely to play. Now, Chris, we know it's a long day for these guys. There is one thing we know that Peyton Manning will not be doing. He told me, I don't watch the pregame coverage because it can cloud your mind.
Yeah. Well, we've been known to do that, Susie. I understand that. Peyton's done it. If he's watching us, he'll be real clouded. Thank you very much. So issue number 1, it's been the talk all week, Dwight Freeney. If he doesn't play or if he plays limited, what effect does this have on what the Colts have to do?
Boom, I don't think the key is whether he's going to play, it's how he's going to play. And I don't want to minimize Dwight Freeney being absent from this lineup. But I think that Coach Caldwell is going to have to make a decision early on about how is he playing, what's best for this football team. Raheem Brock, his replacement, 6'4", 275 pounds, 8 years of experience, had more tackles than both Mathis or Freeney. I think he's a pretty good guy to put in the lineup. He has started a few times. So I think you make that decision early. I need a guy who's 100% in that lineup.
Well, for one, I don't believe Dwight Freeney can be replaced, all right? You don't replace superstars in a defense like the Colts did with Bob Sanders. Their defense struggled. Where I think could take an effect is on their quarterback, the number 1 micromanager in the National Football League, and that's Peyton Manning. What if Peyton realized the defense is a little bit weaker? What if the Saints have success early? Does that push Peyton to force balls into coverage? Because he realizes this is a defense that is without their superstar.
And that is true. Whether or not Dwight Freeney is 100%, it doesn't matter anyway. I think they're going to have to look to get a lot of pressure out of the secondary with blitzes, doing different things. It'll be very difficult for the defensive coordinator to try to figure out how to scheme things to make sure that Drew Brees doesn't sit back there and pick the defense apart, Coach.
Well, I think whether he plays or not, if he plays, I think, first of all, the Saints are going to test him right away. They're going to go right after him, going to find out, can this guy play the position? Can he stop the run? I think the other thing you understand is it's going to change some things they do if he's out there and he's not effective. They don't have to chip on it anymore. They're going to release another guy into the secondary. They don't have to use a tight end. Now, they don't do a lot of that anyway, but it'll free them up. Steve, what do you think about that?
Coach, you hit it right on the head. This is about football tactics. You talk about confidence coming into this ball game, the Saints being the first time showing up Their number one main guy, I talked to Mark Sanchez, the Jets quarterback last night. He talked about how the Jets' preparation against Dwight Freeney was all week long, talking about him, how to handle him. You mentioned it, extra guys to hold the tight end, hold the back, chip him on the way out. If you don't have to do that, now you get 5 guys into the route. Drew Brees doesn't have to worry about the edge. That 5th guy in the route, who is that? That's Reggie Bush. This is a situation now for the Saints that's exponentially possible now to put that pressure on that defense and go right at them. And that's, I think, a big problem for the Colts.
Yeah, in offenses, they attack weaknesses. And if you have a player on that defensive front that you think has a weakness, whether it be an injury or not, you attack that weakness, just like Coach said. You double team him, try to drive him off the ball, make him anchor on that right ankle to test it early. And I tell you what, if I was an offensive lineman, for the New Orleans Saints, I'm going right up to Dwight Freeney early. If he plays and he's in there, listen, we're going at you all day. This is the Super Bowl. You may have a lot of tape on that ankle, but here it is. Look out for the cut block.
And I'm pretty confident that message was sent last night. Sean Payton last night presented a first 15 plays, the magical script to his team. And I guarantee it was a 5-star script. They had some good ball plays up here. We want to know who the leading men in this script are going to be. It's not going to be Drew Brees and Marcus Colson. It's going to be a big coming down and crack blocking Dwight Freeney. It's going to be a double team on Dwight Freeney. It's going to be a back getting right into his ribs, making sure that everybody knows he will not have an impact in this football game, Boom.
Well, Trent, I mean, I think the key thing is even this morning, Dwight Freeney doesn't know, fellas, how it's going to be. I mean, I talked with him a couple of days ago. I mean, he's hopeful in this, and we're going to do, but you know better than me. You get out there, he doesn't know. So even today, whatever 10:30 the kickoff is, whatever, he doesn't know.
The one thing that they do, though, is they play different kind of defense right now. It's a lot of stunning. It's a lot of twists. And I've said it all week, the quickness of the Indianapolis Colts, you cannot prepare for.
But it won't be 100%. We do know
that's
that.
correct.
That's it.
So in addition to the strategy you give, when Freeney and Mathis, who had a great season together, I thought.
Absolutely.
You had to double one or both. Well, now you at least don't have to double. Maybe just double Mathis and do something else. We'll see. We got plenty of time to talk about it, and that'll be a big issue in this game as we're starting to rev up here for Super Bowl 44. We're 4 hours. We got tons of folks. Oh, we got Emerald, we got Kenny Chesney, we got Adam Sandler and Chris Rock, but we could go on and on. They're all coming.
I'm Kenny Mann in New Orleans, where they're getting ready for the Super Bowl victory parade. Everyone's excited. Everyone but him. His story later on Countdown.
And basking on the beach?
So you're confirming his return. Or you're not.
Not our insiders.
I need to know the Cowboys' plan now.
Mort and Adam are digging through the sand for the latest NFL info. Sunday headlines are next.
Super Bowl Sunday, a day when dreams are realized and heroes are made. The New Orleans Saints have been on a collision course with the title game all season. Can Drew Brees finally take them to the promised land? Or will 4-time MVP Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts claim yet another Super Bowl championship? It's the greatest spectacle in American sport. Super Bowl 44, live from Sun Life Stadium in Miami, Florida. Tonight at midnight, CET, live on ESPN America. All this month, ESPN America is your college hoops haven. And with over 40 live games, we guarantee you won't miss a beat. Live college hoops all this month on ESPN America.
Could be an interesting marriage in Chicago. Mike Martz and Jay Cutler. Martz is the Bears' new offensive coordinator.
I didn't feel connected as far as the team, unity, togetherness.
LaDainian Tomlinson told the San Diego Union-Tribune he knows he has played his last game as a Charger.
Ex-Giant star Plexico Burress has vowed that he will play in the NFL again.
Houston coach Gary Kubiak has a new contract that'll keep him with the Texans through 2012.
Well, some of the stories Super Bowl week, and we did not mean to introduce these guys because, look, if it's a Super Bowl, the phone has been surgically removed from the ears of Chris Mortensen and Adam Schefter. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, fellas.
Same to you, Boomer. And as you just heard, LaDainian Tomlinson said he and the Chargers are pretty much done, and that is pretty much it. The Chargers will owe the running back a $1 million walk-away bonus when they release him. And while Pete Carroll's Seattle Seahawks have a need and an owner with deep pockets, the temptation for LT could come from his home state, where the Texans would be receptive to Tomlinson for the right price. Now, this guy did score 12 touchdowns for San Diego, and don't be surprised if Drew Brees lobbies to bring his former teammate to New Orleans, Adams.
Well, more Bengals linebacker Ray Malaluga is planning to check into the Betty Ford Center in Rancho Mirage, California later this month for at least 30 days. Now, Malaluga gave some thought to checking into the clinic earlier this week, but decided to go forth with a previously scheduled vacation to Samoa. Last week, he pled guilty to drunken driving. He's been involved in other incidents in college. Clearly, Malaluga has made the mature decision to recognize that he needs some help, and he's about to get it.
And Adam, as you know, Chad Ochocinco had his OCNN network out in full force this week, and he attempted to break some news that he and Terrell Owens could be together with the Bengals in 2010. Well, this ain't OCNN business. Don't buy stock in this one. The Bengals believe Carson Palmer has at least 5 fruitful years left, and both quarterback and team have been inspired by watching Peyton Manning and the Colts develop their own young receivers like Pierre Garçon and Austin College and even Anthony Gonzalez before he was injured. The Bengals don't necessarily see the wisdom in putting their investments in 3 over 30 receivers. That's years and 30 years old. Ochocinco, Lavernius Coles, and T.O., who will be an unrestricted free agent. And some of the young receivers like Andre Caldwell and maybe Jerome Simpson are the guys they want to develop.
More, the new NFL calendar year starts on March 5th, so let the conversation and the speculation about the Eagles quarterbacks begin. The Eagles have received multiple inquiries from multiple teams around the league about the availability of their 3 quarterbacks, Donovan McNabb, Kevin Cobb, and Michael Vick. What's interesting to note is that each of the teams calling them has made inquiries about all 3 of the quarterbacks. What we do know right now is we don't know which quarterback the Eagles are going to trade. Each of them is heading into the last year of his contract, but one of them looks like he could be out of Philadelphia. Look for the Eagles to trade one of them. And the NFL's put a high priority this week on security for today's Super Bowl. Just this past week, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Director Janet Napolitano toured the stadium with the NFL head of security, Milt Ulrich. The NFL has spent $6 million on security for this event, and also they consider it a level 1 special event, which is just below the president's inauguration.
Well, we're not quite level 1 here, but we have the Who Dat fans here. We got Hoosiers, Who Dats and Hoosiers, and we will be back with more on Sunday NFL Countdown.
Crazy for the Colts.
I threw my leg up there. He's like, man, you're serious? I said, yeah, I'm serious. I'm right there. I'll go have it tattooed.
Find out how one fan has his own tribute to the Super Bowl 41 champs. Plus, how much was it worth for Sean Payton to have a better defense?
I just said, let's get this done. And I probably had a couple beers the next day. My wife said to me, you did what?
The generous move that changed the Saints season.
Super Bowl Sunday, a day when dreams are realized and heroes are made. The New Orleans Saints have been on a collision course with the title game all season. Can Drew Brees finally take them to the promised land? Or will 4-time MVP Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts claim yet another Super Bowl championship? It's the greatest spectacle in American sport. Super Bowl 44, live from Sun Life Stadium in Miami, Florida. Tonight at midnight, CET, live on ESPN America.
NFL on ESPN America.
Sign up to the ESPN America newsletter and be the first to know all about the best matchups for the month ahead. Get the latest news from the players and the teams who are making the headlines.
He swings and hits one.
Be the first to view the exclusive offers from our online shop and win lots of prizes in our exclusive competitions and promotions. All from the only channel dedicated to North American sports. Visit ESPNAmerica.com for more details and scheduling information.
Well, the Saints played in Miami earlier this year in October, and they trailed the Dolphins 24-3. Drew Brees went to the sideline, said to Sean Payton, "Let me go for it. Don't kick a field goal." Touchdown. It's 24-10 Miami. Drew Brees sneaking into the end zone takes the Saints on top finally, 37-34. 40-34. Chad Henne had a nice season, but Tracy Porter, boy, did he make a lot of big plays for the Saints this year? Picked it up, and the Saints won 46-34. That was Landshark Stadium in October to the Tundra of Sun Life Stadium 4 months later to our Monday Night Crew. Three guys who just refused to change their name. Right, guys?
That's it, Chris. Thank you. The stadium here is between Fort Lauderdale and Miami. That's why you've heard references to South Florida hosting this Super Bowl, as both Fort Lauderdale and Miami have been headquarters. The Colts have been up in Fort Lauderdale. The Saints in New Orleans, in Miami proper. That's why that has felt a little more like New Orleans. And interestingly, by the way, back in New Orleans, and we'll hear about this a little bit later on in the show, it has the feel of a Super Bowl being there. Hard to get hotel rooms, hard to get restaurant reservations in New Orleans. But it's all because the Saints are here in the Super Bowl. Let's get our first check on this Sunday countdown of what the Saints are up to with Ed Werder, who's been covering the team all week. Ed, what's going on with New Orleans?
Well, Mike, this has been the Saints team hotel all week, and they opted not to move last night. Coaches and players leave for the stadium in about 4 hours. Right now, Coach Sean Payton holding his final team meeting, and former NBA coach New Orleans native Avery Johnson is speaking to the players. The dominant theme here all week with the Saints at this Super Bowl: we're the better team and we're the underdog. Payton told me he scripted Drew Brees' first 15 offensive plays, and that one purpose of it will be testing Dwight Freeney's injured right ankle. Payton told me the Saints would scrutinize Freeney in pregame warmups and pay close attention to how he performs in both the running and passing games. As for Peyton Manning, Mike, the Saints defense will emphasize unpredictability and physical punishment.
Some of the things to watch for New Orleans early on. Ed, thank you. Both teams' offenses engineered to win all season. Just look at their ranks. The Saints at the top of those important columns. Total yards and points scored. The Colts very good in everything but those rush yards. Last in the league in rushing yards. Let me bring back my Monday night buddies, Messrs. Gruden and Jaworski, as we look at these engineered to win all season offenses, guys. Which offense is most likely to get early control of this game?
I'm going with the New Orleans Saints because they have the deepest offense in all of football. We all know Drew Brees has a talented receiving core and they can throw the ball. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, they can grind it at you, man, with an outstanding running game. They have a big offensive line. They can bring in Zach Strief, a 350-pound tackle, to play tight end and run the ball right at Dwight Freeney early in this game. And if all else fails, they'll use their defense to score because they've scored 8 or 9 touchdowns themselves.
Yeah, I actually thought Drew Brees was a little bit tight in the championship game. So I'm going to give the consistency factor to Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts offense. As I've studied the offense of the Colts through the years, you know, they don't give you a lot of complex, sophisticated look. They're very static. You know why? Because Peyton Manning likes to keep the defense static. So if you don't move on offense, the defense will stay still. Peyton loves to get that great pre-snap look and attack. As far as consistency, Peyton, Dallas Clark, and Reggie Wayne, they see the field through the same eyes. They make adjustments on the move, and that leads to their consistent offense week in and week out.
Yeah, they don't do a lot of complex stuff, but they do it so well. The Saints have all the tricks and mirrors and all the different looks, so that'll be interesting to watch as the game goes forward. You can test your football IQ, by the way, with the GMC Sierra Engineered to Win Challenge at gmc.com/NFL and enter for a chance to win a 2010 GMC Sierra. We're talking about the quarterbacks. How about a little bit of quarterback role play with two men who've won this game, Messrs. Young and Dilfer down at South Beach. Trent?
Drew
Brees, quarterback much like him. I'm going to take Peyton Manning, a little bit taller, more of a pocket passer. Hey, I'm Peyton Manning, Steve, right? I'm going line of scrimmage. I got one thing I'm starting with in this game. I'm going to frustrate the New Orleans Saints on defense. They're going to throw a lot of junk at me, and I'm going to have an answer for all of it. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to sense some doubt in them. I'm going to see them get on their heels a little bit. I'm going to see them get to some vanilla coverages, and then I'm going to pounce. I'm going to put my foot on their throat, and I'm going to attack the New Orleans Saints secondary. And that's what Peyton Manning does. He senses it in him, and then he starts chucking the ball down the football field. That's where a lot of the big plays are made. Peyton Manning senses any doubt in you, and he's going to go on the attack. Now, what about this other guy, Drew Brees, quarterback much like yourself? How's he going to play it?
You know what? His first Super Bowl, a lot of times first Super Bowl quarterbacks start slow. Drew Brees cannot do that. To Jaw's point, I also believe that he played pretty tight in the championship game. He needs to look at it. I got through that. It was cathartic. I went through the vortex. Now I'm free to play great football. And if Drew Brees is on his game like the last time, as you mentioned a couple minutes ago in Miami against the Dolphins, that's going to be an explosive Drew Brees, especially with Dwight Freeney hurt. He can drop back, get 5 into the route. What he wants to do is dictate to the defense. He wants to pick people out. Sean Payton and the play calling, they actually take a linebacker and say, you know what, we're going to pick on you. We're going to move our shoulders. You go one way, we throw behind you. Next play, we move our shoulders. You think I'm not coming? Another guy comes underneath, throw to him. They need big, chunky plays throughout this game, and they've got to start fast. If you think about a game, about 12 drives a game, I think they got to score on 8 of them, maybe half of them being touchdowns. So this has got to be a fast-starting Drew Brees today. Michael, it's going to be a quarterback shootout, which which Trent and I really love.
Drew would love it too, I promise you, Steve. Thank you. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit. And let me remind you that we've got a great big week of college basketball starting. Rivalry Week presented by Cisco. And tomorrow, Villanova, West Virginia in the Big East, Kansas and Texas in the Big 12. Big Monday on ESPN.
Coming up, his family hails from one of the most devastated areas in Haiti.
Together we are strong.
How Pierre Garçon will be playing for his homeland on Super Sunday. And speaking of receivers,
Tyree who makes the catch. Throws it back corner of the end zone. Santonio with a touchdown.
we go inside the lab to find out which game winner was more difficult.
Super Bowl Sunday, a day when dreams are realized and heroes are made. The New Orleans Saints have been on a collision course with the title game all season. Can Drew Brees finally take them to the promised land? Or will four-time MVP Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts claim yet another Super Bowl championship? It's the greatest spectacle in American sport. Super Bowl 44, live from Sun Life Stadium in Miami, Florida. Tonight at midnight, CET, live on ESPN America.
They say I'm explosive for my size. Watch out, kids. I'm explosive for any size. Pick me.
All this month on ESPN America. The NHL's best take center ice. Looking for NHL action? The puck stops here. They score! ESPN America, home of the NHL.
A shot! He scores!
Catch NHL hockey live all this month on ESPN America.
Yesterday, they unveiled the Hall of Fame class of 2010. There were two no-doubters. Jerry Rice, more catches for more yards and more touchdowns scored than anyone in the history of professional football. 208 TDs, almost 23,000 yards. You know the deal, Jerry in. And Emmitt Smith, who ran the ball 18,355 yards, more than anyone in NFL history. More rushing touchdowns than anyone in NFL history. Second only to Jerry Rice in touchdowns in NFL history. They're going to Canton, along with Russ Grimm, well, Dick LeBeau, and Floyd Little from the old-timers committee, if you will, Floyd Little, who was a great player on not a strong Bronco team, and Dick LeBeau, 51 years as a player and coach, Russ Grimm of the Hogs, of the Redskins that won so many Super Bowls, and Ricky Jackson, the standout linebacker, the first Saint to go in, and John Randall, who got the pass rush from the toughest spot, the interior line from the Minnesota Vikings. They are a class of 2010. Well, they're worried about the Super Bowl champ, the Vince Lombardi champion of Trophy champion of 2010. As Mort said, the Who Dats or the Hoosiers. We'll be back.
Crazy for the Colts.
I threw my leg up there. He's like, man, you're serious? I said, yeah, I'm serious. I'm right there. I'll go have it tattooed.
Find out how one fan has his own tribute to the Super Bowl 41 champs. Plus, how much was it worth for Sean Payton to have a better defense?
I just said, let's get this done, and I probably had a couple beers the next day. My wife said to me, "You did what?"
The generous move that changed the Saints season.
Super Bowl Sunday, a day when dreams are realized and heroes are made. The New Orleans Saints have been on a collision course with the title game all season. Can Drew Brees finally take them to the promised land? Or will four-time MVP Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts claim yet another Super Bowl championship? It's the greatest spectacle in American sport. Super Bowl 44, live from Sun Life Stadium in Miami, Florida. Tonight at midnight, CET, live on ESPN America.
We came here for. It's what we worked all year for.
Your boys ready?
We are. We are. We couldn't be more ready.
Looks around, throws to the 1-yard line.
Touchdown! Yes! There's too many guys in the huddle. Call the penalty. Throw the flag. Just hit your kick, though, son. Let's go to the Super Bowl, boys, right here. Where's Hartley? Come on, baby. One time for your boy.
Wednesday Night Hoops on ESPN America. It's a conference doubleheader as Big East rivals square off. First, we're with the Connecticut Huskies as they roll into Syracuse to face the Orange Men. Then another chapter from one of sports' greatest rivalries is about to be written. North Carolina versus Duke. It all starts Wednesday at midnight. Wednesday Night Hoops, live on ESPN America.
We came here for. It's what we worked all year for.
Your boys ready?
We are. We are. We couldn't be more ready.
Looks around, throws to the 1-yard line.
Touchdown! Yes! There's too many guys in the huddle. Call the penalty. Throw the flag. Just hit your kick, though, son. Let's go to the Super Bowl, boys, right here. Where's Hartley? Come on, baby. One time for your boy.
The New Orleans Saints have made it to football's promised land. 4 years after Hurricane Katrina made the team professional nomads, 4 seasons after Sean Payton took over as head coach. In year 1, of course, the Saints reached their first NFC title game, losing to the Bears, who would lose to the Colts in the Super Bowl here in Miami. Now in year 4, Payton, Drew Brees, and their high-flying offense are here. But what about a high-flying defense? Enter Greg Williams as defensive coordinator at the request and financial behest of Coach Payton. Ed Werder has a story.
winning teams do a good job of playing complementary football. I don't think he did a real good job of that.
It was wide open. Threw a Saints backwards into the end zone, untouched.
Sean Payton needed someone to provide the Saints defense with the same aggressive identity his offense already had. Then 19-year NFL veteran coach Greg Williams, defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans Super Bowl team, emerged as Payton's choice for the job. But there was competition for him, and Williams' financial demands exceeded the Saints' budget for the hire.
What I didn't want to have happen is lose out on a chance to hire him over $200,000 or $250,000. This is a guy that I felt we needed to win, and it was a way really to show my commitment, if you will.
The imaginative Payton offered a unique solution. He informed team management he would pay the $250,000 difference out of his own pocket to hire Williams.
I just said, let's get this done, and I probably had a couple beers. The next day, my wife said to me, "You did what?" And I said, "Well, come on, it's not a big deal here. This is the right guy."
How long did you have to sleep on the couch?
I didn't have to sleep on the couch long.
One of my first responses that I heard that he did that is I would have asked for more.
Under Williams' direction, the Saints defense forced 39 turnovers in the regular season, second most in the league, and scored a league-high 8 defensive touchdowns.
The first part of practice has been dedicated to a takeaway circuit and a ball disruption circuit. It's always see ball, find ball, get ball.
It's not just always about X's and O's with Greg. I think he tries to put a lot of, spirit and emotion into guys, and sometimes that's all you need on defense.
Williams' success has been evident. The Saints defense has physically assaulted quarterbacks throughout the postseason and forced 5 turnovers in the NFC Championship game.
Take the ball away again!
They've defeated all 4 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks they've faced this season, and if Peyton Manning is added to that list, then Sean Payton's $250,000, roughly 7% of his $3.5 million salary, will truly seem a minuscule price for a Lombardi trophy.
He's invested in the stock market, and he bought some stock in Greg Williams, and I'm hoping that maybe he'll get some dividends.
Whatever happened to the $250,000? Did you actually have to pay it out?
I paid it out, and then somewhere, I don't know where we were at, 9-0, I got a nice little reimbursement check.
46 turnovers and a check. That's what's happening. In the end, family may have trumped cash. In addition to the $250,000, the Saints sealed the deal by agreeing to hire Williams' son Blake as an offensive assistant. Williams said he turned down substantially more money from 2 other teams to join the Saints. Now, the last few times that Peyton Manning has played against Greg Williams' defenses, he was the defensive coordinator in the Jags in the division a year ago. The Jags won 1 game, the Colts won another. 2006, when he was defensive coordinator for Washington, Peyton's numbers, 2-1 winning, 8-2 touchdowns, did pretty darn well. Obviously, this is another setting. It's another team. We just put it up because that's recent history. And as you handicap things, you always look at the racing for me. Recent things. Was it a muddy track, et cetera? Chris, the last 2 games, just go that far back, and we saw it in Ed's piece. The Saints certainly came after Brett Favre and Kurt Warner. Can they do the same thing to Peyton Manning?
Well, of course they're going to do that. The one thing that they didn't have up there, they should have had a graphic that New Orleans Saints, they blitzed the second most in the National Football League. And it should be noted that also Drew Brees wasn't his quarterback those other 3 times. And I think that is a big factor in how Greg Williams is going to call a football game. He realizes he can make some mistakes. He can send extra people. He can take chances. The reason why, because he has the most explosive offense in the National Football League, which is led by Drew Brees. So which in turn, he can erase some mistakes.
Well, Chris, I think when you look at this defense, the personnel is so much better than any other defense he ever played against Peyton with. This is a good personnel on defense, and I think that's why he's going to try to do it. It sounds good. Now, I haven't seen anybody be
you might
get him a little bit, but he's going to come back and get you in. Be careful.
Everything sounds good with Peyton Manning, but the one thing that you have to realize is he's a big quarterback. You're talking about a guy who's 6'5" and some change, 230-something plus pounds, and I may be a little light on that. You knock him down a lot. That's true. He gets knocked down an awful lot. You never see him get hit to a point where it feels like punishment. He knows how to fall as a big quarterback. Most big guys have a problem with falling down. You take a look at this film right here. Look at that. He just it's almost like a Jim Everett type situation, but a much better quarterback. And knowing, you watch the Baltimore game, the guy was chasing from behind. What did he do? Oh, I got to see from behind. I'm going to slide on the ground so I can avoid that big shot.
Look, nobody believes in hitting the quarterback more than I do. But I think that when you look at Peyton Manning, he's only been sacked 10 times all year. So this is not going to be a sack fest. And the thing that I would take issue with is that when you hear all week the remember me hit, cut off the head, if we hit the quarterback, the whole team is going to feel it. You know, Coach Gruden, when I think about this, yes, I believe in hitting the quarterback, but I don't necessarily believe in alerting the officials to that the entire week before we get to the game. I think that they're going to be watching for it, and I think there may be a couple of personal foul penalties coming.
I was one of those coaches that said we got to blitz Peyton Manning. We got to hit Peyton Manning. What I found out is he's blitzing us. He got after us. No huddle offense. He's a hard guy to come after, but most importantly, he is the hardest guy in football to prepare for, because how do you emulate him? I mean, is Mark Brunell simulating Peyton Manning on the practice field? He's left-handed. It's a no-huddle offense. Nobody can master it like Peyton Manning, but you better be real careful ticking off the sheriff, because he is unbelievable in pressure games.
Yeah, and John, football is a game of matchups, and I think the Saints defense can match up to the Colts offense. The Colts base formation is 3 wide receivers, Reggie Wayne, Austin Collie, Pierre Garçon, and a tight end, Dallas Clark. What I have seen from the Saints throughout the postseason has been a change-up of their defensive schemes, and one that I think they'll use today. 3 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 6 defensive backs. Greg Williams, he's that mad scientist designing, and he's got 2 weeks to prepare for Peyton Manning. But Peyton Manning, everyone knows, his preparation is legendary. So this is going to be a great matchup of Greg Williams, the Saints defensive coordinator, against the cerebral approach of Peyton Manning. And Teddy, you know better than anybody how tough it is to rattle Peyton Manning.
It is extremely tough, Jaws. Actually, early on in Peyton Manning's career, we would play games against him where the entire game would go on and he never found the answers. He could never figure it out. And you know, you talk about Peyton Manning's preparation. He did find the answers eventually, but it was Monday. It was Tuesday in the film room. It was too late. The game was over. We had defeated him. Later on in his career, with the mental development of Peyton Manning, he started to make those adjustments in game. He didn't need to see the film Monday. He didn't need to see the film Tuesday. He just had to have that picture in his mind on what he saw in that field, on that field, go to the sideline, pick up those pictures and see what they were doing. And boom, this is what makes it so frustrating for a defensive player. You think you got him in the first half, boom, but the second half, he comes out and he's got all the answers.
Well, thanks, Teddy. And no wonder you're finally sitting here with us now that he's caught up to things in the second quarter, right? I think another thing that we're looking for in this game is how will the defensive backs of the Saints play the Colts receivers on the outside? Minnesota was surprised that they played them off. Now, you know, Minnesota moved the ball. They turned the ball over a ton, but they left a lot of points on the field. How will they do that? Probably hammer Clark. But how will they play on the outside? Now, again, the Saints forced, when you added the 7 in the playoffs, 46 turnovers that they forced. In the previous 43 Super Bowls played, plus 89. You win the turnover battle, you got to like your chances on winning the whole thing. And Jim Caldwell knows that. And he's looking at the trophy saying, boy, if we don't turn it over, I kind of like our chances. Sean Payton looking at the Vince Lombardi trophy saying, if we can force a bunch of turnovers, I really like our chances. Lots of stuff surrounding Saints Colts off the field after tonight. Mort, Adam, what do you have?
Well, let's take a look at these coaches. You know, every coach has highlights and lowlights in his career. The lowlight for Sean Payton came in 2002 when Jim Fosso of the Giants stripped away his play calling duties. And after that season, Payton resisted the temptation to go call his own offense for Dave McGinnis and the Arizona Cardinals to work at apprenticeship under Bill Parcells in Dallas. And he still consults with Bill Parcells frequently and did so for Super Bowl 44. And oh, by the way, if the Saints hadn't reimbursed Payton for that that $250,000 he gave up to get Greg Williams as defensive coordinator, he's got a pretty good Super Bowl bonus that would have more than offset that amount, Adam.
Well, more Jim Caldwell comes straight from the Tony Dungy coaching tree. Tony Dungy brought him to Tampa as the quarterbacks coach for the Buccaneers at one point. He obviously took over for Tony Dungy when Tony Dungy's son, Jamie, tragically committed suicide. Jim Caldwell used to write letters to famous coaches around the country, and eventually he got a job at Penn State as an assistant coach with Joe Paterno, who this week called Caldwell one of the best assistant coaches I've had at Penn State. And in fact, in Jim Caldwell's office, he has a sign hanging there from Joe Paterno that says, "Take care of the little things, and the big things will take care of themselves."
All right, Adam, and for more on these coaches, let's go out to Mike Tirico.
Well, more, let me pick up on Adam's point. When Jim Caldwell walks into the stadium here, he'll become the 5th rookie head coach in a Super Bowl, and it's happened with the Colts before. Don McCafferty, Super Bowl 5 against Dallas. That was the game where Johnny U's pass deflected a couple of times to the waiting arms of Hall of Famer John Mackey. A 16-13 win for the Colts and McCafferty. Super Bowl 12, Red Miller was the coach of the Denver Broncos that lost to Dallas on that day. Remember the Robert Newhouse halfback pass to Golden Richards, even though Tom Jackson's defense did what they could, losing that game 27-10. Super Bowl 24, George Seifert takes over and the Niners take off. Montana, 3 touchdown passes. Jerry Rice on the end of that one, that 55-10 blowout of the Broncos. And then the Super Bowl that Coach Gruden won, Super Bowl 37, Bill Callahan took over the Raiders. Rich Gannon intercepted. Dwight Smith with the pick and the take back there, part of the 48-21 win. And Callahan did not win as a Super Bowl rookie head coach, which Jim Caldwell will be today. And guys, let's talk about both coaches and what they bring to the game, because there are 2 types of NFL coaches, and these guys really define the differences, starting with Sean Payton.
Sean Payton is an offensive head coach. He installs every play and he calls every play, and I admire that a lot. He'll have the biggest menu of any play caller in NFL history, and he knows every ingredient. He's going to have a huge impact on this game today.
You know, Jim Caldwell replaced Tony Dungy. Jim Caldwell is more like Tony Dungy than Tony Dungy is. I mean, he is very stoic in the sideline, and, you know, he's a CEO-type head coach. In today's game, here's a decision that Caldwell's going to have to make. Do we punt? Do we kick a field goal? Do we challenge or go for it on 4th down? He has great confidence in his coordinators. Tom Moore will handle the offense. Larry Corey will handle the defense. And he'll just oversee the operation. He'll make the executive decisions because it's all about preparation for Jim Caldwell. His team will be totally prepared for the game, and he'll let his assistants execute on game day.
You know, we had pointed out earlier, you're talking about decisions. If it's a very windy day, that sometimes factors into your decision making. And we told you when we came on the air that it was windy, about 15 miles per hour wind. I've been checking the weather here during the show. The wind's going to die down during the game to about 8 or 7 miles an hour come kickoff. So the decisions and coaching styles will not be impacted, I don't think, by the weather that we have today. This is Super Sunday, followed, of course, by Big Monday on ESPN. A great doubleheader. Matter of fact, all week we have top 10 teams galore. Villanova, West Virginia out of the Big East, followed by the Big 12 matchup with the #1 team in the country, Kansas, taking on Texas. Big Monday on ESPN, starting tomorrow night after SportsCenter at 7 Eastern. We'll continue with more Sunday Countdown from down at South Beach and up here at newly named Sun Life Stadium, which hosted the 2010 Pro Bowl last week and hosts Super Bowl Sunday between the Colts and the Saints. We continue on Countdown live from South Florida.
You can't describe the feeling of what it's like going on the field for the first time.
The electricity in the air is just unbelievable. So, I mean, it's something that I'll never forget.
You're just so overwhelmed with emotions.
Super Bowl Sunday, a day when dreams are realized and heroes are made. The New Orleans Saints have been on a collision course with the title game all season. Can Drew Brees finally take them to the promised land? Or will 4-time MVP Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts claim yet another Super Bowl championship? It's the greatest spectacle in American sport. Super Bowl 44, live from Sun Life Stadium in Miami, Florida. Tonight at midnight, CET, live on ESPN America.
For the widest choice of official North American sports merchandise.